And next up, we are going to hear from the investors themselves. So let me welcome our moderator, Yo Arley, from Group CFO from IHH Healthcare, onto the stage, and also Scarlett Chen. Yeah, Yo, please. And Scarlett, Managing Partner, Verge Health Tech Fund, Wilson Chwacha, Co-founder and Managing Partner from East Ventures, as well as Dr. Wong Man Yu, Managing Partner from Green Willow Venture Capital. Welcome, please. Yeah, there's a QR code that's located at the top right-hand corner at the background. So if you have any questions, please scan them, and then Yo will help to moderate to ask to the panelists. Yo, please.
Does this work or? Yeah. 1, 2. Okay. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is a 30-minute session, so we have to be a little bit quicker than in a usual panel discussion. First of all, welcome, Scarlett. You are in Verge Capital. 2 words.
That's right. Yes, Managing Partner for Verge Health Tech Fund. We are a health tech only global scale, early stage VC fund. The team has invested in 50 health tech companies from 20 different countries, impacting 57 million lives. We are very fortunate that we are supported by some of the largest strategic players, largest pharmaceutical companies, etc., globally, and we partner with them.
Great, Scarlett. Wilson, you're from East Capital, or East Ventures. 2 words.
Yeah, hi. My name is Wilson. I'm the co-founder of East Ventures. We are Southeast Asia but Indonesia focused fund, sector agnostic. We invest anything that makes money. So far, we have invested over 300 companies from early stage all the way to the later stage. Our latest fund size was about 800 million. We closed it last year, and now we are venturing into the healthcare.
Thanks a lot, Wilson. And Manu, Green Willow, what is that?
Hi, I'm Manu, a medical doctor by training. Green Willow itself is a new VC fund based in Singapore. We invest both in healthcare as well as smart cities. But in healthcare space, because my previous experience in investing in healthcare with EDBI and our fund's mandate, we don't really do biotech or drug discovery, but more focus on the health tech, digital health, diagnostics, and medtech field. It's a new fund, 2 years, definitely smaller than our 2 panelists here, but we hope to grow that as we move along the whole investment cycle.
What's your fund size, or is this something we're not asking?
It's about $30 million for our first fund.
30 million. How much you have in East Ventures?
The latest was 800.
800. Okay. Wow. And
$50 million fund.
Okay. Wow. Very very different types of sizes, and but the unifying feature is all early stage investments. And what we want to do.
No. I'm not early stage. I'm doing from all the way from early to late.
Oh. Okay. Okay. So what we want to hear here with some of the panelists is, how do investors look at ventures? What do you do to make them successful? And what can they do to make you successful? To start with is maybe to think a little bit, what's your investment hypothesis around investing in healthcare startups? Scarlett.
Should I start? All right. So the thesis is actually quite simple. We are not investing into the current existing healthcare. We're investing into the future. And what I mean by that is that currently it's really sick care. So you get sick, you see a doctor. But for us, it's actually the expansion of the healthcare spectrum, going from health, so going into prevention, going into wellness, risk detection, and intervention before you get sick. And then after you get sick, it's about recovery, it's about how to provide care for the people who are chronically ill, and then one day is healthy longevity. So you can pick up that there's a strong theme of democratization of healthcare and making that to be much more consumer-centric, so moving care away from just hospital settings, but into anywhere, anytime, any place. And we are a health tech fund, so technology is really the key. So we use technology to amplify the current healthcare system to really provide access, affordability, and quality within healthcare.
It's interesting because this theme of consumerization and the expansion of the life cycle of what we're looking at from wellness back to wellness is also something we're discussing in IHH, and I think there are a lot of strategic themes around that. In Green Willow, how do you deal with, or what's your investment hypothesis, and is that rather similar?
I think most VCs, they are about doing the same in terms of looking at healthcare, rather than cost and all this. I think, but for us, we also look a bit more on, because we have the smart cities portion, we also look at more the infrastructure space. How does healthcare, how does infrastructure work in healthcare, whether it's the cybersecurity, whether it's on the AI side, which was already talked about the provider, but also on the other areas in this region where digitization and storage of data and recalling of data is very important. So these are other areas that we look at beyond just what is happening in the world, but also peculiarly what can, in terms of how the health, not just in Singapore, is moving forward, but how the healthcare itself in Indonesia or Malaysia or Thailand is moving forward, and using that as a base to consider our investment decisions.
Right. East Ventures is focused primarily on Indonesia.
Yeah, we don't have any specific thesis about healthcare actually, but accidentally I get involved in healthcare. So to give a bit of context, we have been in the market for 14 years. In the past, we believe that we invest only young people that disrupt the industry, and we start with digitalization. And then fast forward, after we invested 300 company, COVID come in. And then suddenly the whole country locked down. There's so many things going on, and we keep thinking, for over a decade, what kind of capability that we build that we can use it to help the people. So we are very mission driven actually. We think that we shouldn't make money first. We just help people, and the byproduct, we will make some money. Then during that time, the Minister of Health of Indonesia actually gave us data about hospital, because Indonesia has problem with the oxygen during the Delta. So I put together some of my company. We do a big data analysis on the oxygen demand consumption, because only when crisis, then we realized we only have 2 liquid oxygen factory in Indonesia. So oxygen concentrator become very important. I bring in my logistic company. We have 50,000 trucks and networks throughout Indonesia, 38 provinces, 17,000 islands. Then we can deliver the oxygen concentrator on time. We put in our asset management digital company to actually track the oxygen. So after it help one hospital, it moved to the other hospital. And we managed to deliver almost 11,000 oxygen concentrators throughout Indonesia. Then I realized, actually there's something that I can do in healthcare that actually converge with what we have been doing for over a decade. Then we set up a small fund in Indonesia, focus in Indonesia, because I'm not medical training. I have no idea. I just know that I need to back young people with a young idea and help as many people as possible. And Indonesia is where we are based, and we're very deep into that. This is the story. And then suddenly, out of the blue, I have a lot of investment in healthcare solution.
So that but that sounds a lot like venture building. So you're already
we invest. We don't build. We don't build. Only that particular time in crisis, I put together 3 companies to build new platform within 3 days. And now the platform has been used by the Ministry of Health to deliver all their healthcare. But no, we're not venture built. It's accident. That's why I say accident. It's
investment in healthcare by accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
And suddenly I realized I have data of 3,000 hospital in Indonesia, number of beds, number of oxygen. Actually, not too bad. We know many things.
What's your average ticket size? Is there any ticket size you have in mind?
Yeah, we can start from 250,000 idea. We like to invest in idea stage, because our thesis is about people. We don't care about the product, we don't care about the market, but we love young entrepreneurs that try to solve a very clear problem statement. And then, so we are one of the first investor of like the Tokopedia, Traveloka, Shopback. I'm not sure. This is all healthcare specialists. This is, actually I'm new kid on the block. Yeah, maybe things that you guys discuss I don't understand, but I would like to help young entrepreneur to realizing their dreams. So that is our mission.
So how does that work for you when you then discuss with individual entrepreneurs and they have these great ideas and you say, well, I'm just an investor, convince me that this works.
Yeah, because I think the smartest guy in the room is the entrepreneur, not me. My job is to make sure that I trust them.
I just want to chime in here. I think this is really well said. You know, in the early stage, we really invest in people. So we trust that these people will make the right judgment. They will know what to do when certain situations happen, and you back the people. So, I mean, you know, if it's like PE, no, you back the company, right? You look at cash flows, you look at everything. But in the early stage, it's actually a different ballgame. So I think Wilson's said it very well.
Now, Scarlett, you are investing, or your fund is a global fund that focuses on health tech, rather than being a regional fund or a country-based fund that looks at multiple industries. Can you describe that difference and what it does for you?
Yeah, sure. So global is actually really hard to do. Very, very hard to do. Because, you know, you look at the majority of the funds, they're all local, regional funds. Now, you know, we are fortunate that, you know, health tech as a field is a field that requires much more specialty industry knowledge about health tech rather than kind of like locally, you know, kind of the local knowledge is a bit less important. And also when you look across, you know, human beings, you know, all of us have stomachs, all of us have intestines, you know, so we're all pretty similar here. So it's not like, oh, you know, Singaporeans are very different from Americans. We're all sort of the same, right? And when you look at regulatory pathways, for example, you know, there's your FDA, there's your CE, and if you have one of these or even both, frankly, your products can work in a lot of different areas. And not just in one specific country, but in multiple countries. So when we look at technologies, we actually very much look for what kind of technologies can go global, right? So when we work with companies, it's not just about helping them survive, it's not just about helping them scale up, but we really help them go global, right? So I'll take, actually I have a product here. So this is a small pill bot. Here, take a look. So instead of upper endoscopy, which nobody
you
really...
swallow this, or?
You swallow this, and it's real time. So I can drive it from my phone, and together we can look at real time video of what's in your stomach. Right, so it's very different from the kind of the in-hospital, in-person, you get sedated and, you know, you do the procedure. So it's a totally different kind of play. And so this is a US Silicon Valley company. You know, this works in Americans, this works in Singaporeans. You know, who says that this shouldn't work in other places?
And do you have actual real examples where you have helped one startup to branch into another country?
So our fund one, actually my partner who's not here, Dr. Joseph Mancanu, he moved 7 out of the 15 companies to Singapore, to domicile here. Yeah. Now, I'll give you one example. So we had a company that originated in Belarus, out of all places. We moved them to Estonia to domicile. And then when the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, we then moved the company all the way to the UK, and now they're selling in the US. I mean, this is how it actually works. Wow. If we were a regional fund, we would not be able to do any of that. But this actually happens to be our specialty, and this is what we look for. We look for founders who are not just passionate, but they're like literally like, I want to be out there like changing the world. That's who we back.
Do you find there's a lot of jealousy between the markets, US, Europe, Asia, and then the Asians say, oh wow, all these Americans, they get these huge valuations, and for us, everyone talks about use of proceeds and...
Yeah, you know, there are so many different dynamics between different regions, right? So certainly, you know, out of the $9 trillion industry, healthcare, so US is about half of that. right? So there are some pretty good valuations there. There are also pretty interesting technologies there, right? So the market's different, and there are different dynamics that's in. For example, last year, US companies were like, you know what? Times are tough. If I need to write down my valuation, if I need to just take a down round and move on, I do that. We didn't actually see much of that here in Asia. Everyone's like, I got a face thing, I don't want to, I cannot let my investors down, fly around, maybe at most, right? But then you see the mentality adjust, right? And this year, the US VC market is much more, I would say, more resilient than last year, right? And then you see the investors going in, the startups are now, doing better. And so there are just different dynamics in different countries.
Very few down rounds, but you get a higher discount on the safe note for your next funding. That I think you can get these days. When how is that starting a new fund? You are focused on the region, primarily Singapore, probably. How does that start? Did you have your first investments done? What do you see as the dynamics you are facing?
So similar to Scarlett, right? Because my experience, we also look at companies that can have technologies and services that can go global. As what she has mentioned, some technologies and certain services are ubiquitous among all humans, right? They use it. It's for treatment, it's for monitoring, it's for diagnostics. So we're typically looking at companies that can actually look at that. Having said that, we do look at certain opportunities that are regional, market specific, if it makes sense. So for example, we just recently invested in a company that do EMR in Indonesia. And that's because Indonesia actually had a governmental law that requires all hospitals to be EMR ready by X years, right? So it's a whip that came up and they have no choice but to adopt. So if you did it at the right time, that's a good thing. And I think you all know EMRs are pretty sticky, unlikely to get out, and they're the door for any technologies to go in. Because my other company took a year and a half to get into IHH, the Singapore system. If you're not qualified to IHH, you'll never be able to provide for any hospitals in Singapore. So the whole technology part about the gateway and the pipes is another way we look at how it can be a platform and it can be used beyond certain countries into other countries as well.
What's your minimum ticket size? Do you have any views or?
Well, we are a bit more concentrated. So we do about $2 to $4 million. We lead rounds. We are on boards on all the companies we've led so far. 4 in Singapore, 2 in Indonesia. But like I said, we're just new. We're just 2 years old, so we're still learning on the ground and working with other VCs as well.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Wilson, Indonesia has a lot of family offices, and many of similar markets. Investment is dominated by family offices, and venture capitalists find it very difficult to find targets. That's not the case in Indonesia?
No, that's not the case. The family office put money into my fund and I invest in the company, so we work closely.
Oh, okay. That's great. What is your usual investment horizon? You have a 2 year, 5 years?
Standard, we invest within like 2 to 3 years, and then we wait 10 years. Yeah. Over the past 14 years, we have raised 9 funds. Yeah, so we're almost running out of money after a year, and then raise another fund and raise another fund. There's so much opportunity. Indonesia is the largest single homogeneous market in Southeast Asia. 50% of the population in Southeast Asia is in Indonesia. 2.1 trillion economy in Southeast Asia, 1 trillion come from Indonesia. If you win Indonesia, you win Southeast Asia.
Okay, wow, you're really convinced. So how much money you return to your LPs?
I can't answer that specifically, but I'm one of the, I think I shouldn't say that. You just search East Ventures Pre-Queen, I'm one of the top global fund now in terms of performance. But
that comes to something we've discussed in the pre-discussion we had, right? So when you enter an investment, what's your exit hypothesis? There must be an exit hypothesis. You're not putting $1 million and then...
Have you heard this term spray and pray? Okay. So we spray, but we pray a lot to exit. No, I'm serious. So doing startup is super, super hard, right? And it is very difficult for you to predict how to exit, whether you're IPO or trade sale. No, because company is bought, not sold. You have to build value. The moment you build value, the money will follow you. So that is my thesis. For the longest time when we do this, the last things that I want to hear from an entrepreneur that raise money from us is that he planned for exit. You don't even start and just started fundraising. Why you tell me about exit? I don't even know how to exit. Yeah, but joke aside, value creation is key.
Do you request influence or impact on the board of a venture, or do you how do you do this?
What do you mean, like influence impact? Like,
Did you influence management, influence the founder, have an impact on strategy
I don't
building?
think I don't need to influence them, but we give them money, right? They have to respond to us. Anyway, put aside that we are one of the first VC in Indonesia that signed UN PRI signatories. Means that every time when we want to make an investment, we will put our ESG and impact lens to make sure that we do good, don't do evil, avoid harm, and so on. So we are one of the specialists in ESG right now to make sure that there is a proper governance, environment control, social responsibility, and etc.
Very good, very good. Scarlett, what's your exit hypothesis when you invest into something?
So we also spray. We also pray a lot.
Do you pray?
And during the time that we spray and we pray, we also do a lot of work. We do a lot of work. So we're activists when it comes down to investing. We really believe in helping the companies. Because, in early stage, this is like so hard. This is like as hard as it gets. So we're actually very lucky. So out of our 50 companies, 47 are still live. And some of it, knock on wood, but some of it is actually due to the hard work, right, that we've put into the companies, because we want to help them grow, right? If you don't help them, it's just really, really hard. So we help them with, commercialization. We literally have, hundreds of these ecosystem partners who are the largest pharmaceutical companies, medtech companies, providers, payers, investors who can, follow on. And we work with them and we say, think about, because let me just say one thing, the entire team were ex-entrepreneurs ourselves. Right, so we sort of know what's coming, and we sort of know that this is hard. So we coach them along the way. We just help them, and also fortunately for us, M&A tends to be the right, I would say the majority of the exits. Right. So, and with all these ecosystem partners who are helping us with, commercialization, as they're looking, they're sort of like, I kind of like that one, So I think, we're sort of taking the companies to that stage. We're helping them, but it's also helping us.
So IHH is also investing into startups, and we have a $70-80 million corporate venture capital fund. How do you like to have anchor investors or corporate strategic investors as co-investors in startups?
Oh, we absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And, some of our, it's not public information, so I can say that one of the top or two pharmaceutical companies is actually anchoring us. Knock on wood, that'll be public hopefully soon. But they see us as strategic, financial, and also impact. We're the same thing. We deliver on impact for them as well. So it hits on a lot of different boxes for strategic investors.
You have a exit hypothesis when you start an investment?
Yeah, we do. We are more traditional VC that has been around for many years. So my other two managing partners, CK with Vertex, Temasek, and my managing director who formed the fund from GIC. So three of us are from the Silver Mile Funds of Singapore. And if you look at experience, it's always been focus on managing portfolio and exits and all this is ingrained in our DNA, to put it very simply. So we are a bit different. We don't spray and pray. That's why we look at 6 companies so far. We invest, and we also do a lot of hand holding and the usual things most VCs say when they open doors for you and reach out to people, put people on the boards for you. We do the same. But there is always an idea in mind where the company can go in the next 5-10 years. And is it an M&A or is it an IPO? That depends on the market by then, but there's something in mind when we started off. But to jump to a point about corporates, right? So this is not that, now one of our companies has nothing to do with healthcare. We also end up, like what Scarlett said, right? Being the neutral party in a company that ended up having 5 corporates, investors coming in at the same time. They're all competitors, by the way. It's on the food tech side. But we play the role of the neutral party and keep everybody happy, making sure that nobody is taking away somebody else's secret because they share with the company, and then everybody is treated fairly. So that's what we sort of play. And to your point, we love corporates coming together with us in the rounds.
What's your advice to investors coming to you when they pitch to you a new idea? What's your advice to them?
Sorry, investors or companies?
Sorry, companies, entrepreneurs.
Well, I think you got to be clear in where your product and your company is going in terms of where is your differentiation. So this morning I just heard a pitch about this company that's on the environmental side, environmental reporting. He said we are going to be the super biggest company in the world, but then he wasn't able to elucidate why he's unique versus the 15 other environmental reporting companies out there, not just in this region, but another 50 around the world. So I think that's where you got to be very crisp. You got to know where you're different. And then, of course, if you have a corporate salary lined up, please say upfront and don't ask me to dig it out. Do you have a contract signed or not? So I think these are all, it's about marketing yourself, right? At the end of the day, you got 15 minutes, you got half an hour, make use of that. That's why the elevator pitch makes sense. I don't know about these 5 floors here, but typical elevator in the US is 30, 40 floors. You have 2 or 3 minutes to make the pitch. Use that very cleanly and use it and be very clear about your proposition.
Wilson, any?
Actually, very simple. So it's a mission, it's a vision, mission, and tactics. So we have to align the vision with us. We have to go to the same direction. We will advise the strategy. This is where we add the value. Mostly what not to do instead of what to do. Because by learning from other people's mistakes, I hope that the company can grow faster. And I strongly believe entrepreneur is the smartest, it's not us. And tactical, they're taking care of themselves. So to give you a bit analogy, the vision from Singapore, we want to go Hong Kong. That's the vision, where we want to go. The strategy, we can swim, we can run, or we take a flight. That is the strategy. We will advise the founders, don't swim, don't run, take a flight. Then after that, once we decided the strategy and they accept it, the tactical, the founders will run it themselves because they're the one that operate the business. Whether they want to book SQ or Cathay, it's up to them. But if they can't even do those, then they shouldn't be a founder. They should work for other people. Yeah. So align the vision. We advise the strategy. Tactical, you do yourself. That is at the seed level. But once you go into the growth, that's the reasons why we have sizable fund, because actually we support the founder throughout their lifetime, the company lifetime.
Different needs at different times.
Yes. So seed fund, actually we only have 150 million. And then once you post revenue, company will invest through growth fund. And after that, somehow you're doing super great. We have another fund called Growth Plus. We are running out of name. So after growth, what we just call it Growth Plus. Why we do this? Because we realize that in the ecosystem, like in Southeast Asia, it is very difficult to fundraise. And the number of investors that come able to back you is actually, we know everyone kind of things. And we thought that it is also good for us to have a conviction from the early days of the founding team. And then as they go through, actually the trust has been built very strong. Why can't we just back them throughout their lifetime? Yeah, that's the reasons why we have different fund for different purpose, but we always love to start from early days.
Very interesting, and it's one of the things. How do you support founders? Was one of the questions here. You said you bring them to other markets, and you say you bring them through their life cycles.
No, we don't bring them to other markets.
Scarlett does,
yes.
But you bring them from one growth phase to the other, and you can provide capital.
We have been thinking about
different
this.
needs.
We have been thinking about this. Shall we become a regional fund that supports Southeast Asia? Or should we go into one country and we go very deep? We decided we should go to one country and go very deep because you need government relation, you need local family connection, you need enterprise relation, and etc. And Southeast Asia is so fragmented. even when you cross the bridge from Singapore to Johor, different currency, different language, different culture, everything is so different. You go to Jakarta, everything doesn't work, right? Yeah. So, so actually, it is very difficult to build something, in my opinion, to build something and just port over to the other country. No, you need local wisdom to customize it, to immerse into that local market. And yeah, so that's why we decide, why don't we just focus on one single market and just...
I need to get your number later so I can put my own money as an LP. That's interesting.
My pitch work.
Scarlett, one question that came up here, and maybe you can answer that. Impact investment versus investing for financial returns.
We do not compromise. So we do both. And it's hard to do, but it's absolutely doable because we have done it. And people think, oh, you know, impact, is that like charity? Is that, you know, just giving grants? No, you actually need to invest in sustainable, long-term business models that will eventually turn a profit. And if you don't do that, then the companies go down. You're destroying impact. You're not creating impact. So we look for strong, sustainable, profitable business models that will go a very long way. And by that, they will create the impact in the process. So we don't give, and we have been able to actually achieve both. And we see that in the financial returns and also in the impact numbers. So 50 portfolio companies, 57 million lives touched. We're very, very happy about that.
Thanks a lot. This was a great session. I love your last statement. It's not either or, it's and. Green investing is smart investing. With that, I'd like to thank you very much for this interesting session. It's always too short. A couple of more questions. I think there's a coffee break later, and I'm sure you're gonna be able to place your topics there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.